Middle Tennessee has been bowl eligible 8 times in the last 11 years, and they join us now as we continue our coverage of the East in Conference USA. And joining us, their head coach, Rick Stockstill. Rick, good to have you here.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay,
Glad
you
to be
are
here.
by far the best dressed guy right now.
I appreciate you
are
lying like that.
I mean, you got the best kicks of anybody, best socks of anybody. Now, you got to get your son to start dressing like that. Right?
He's got more swag than me, but my wife, Sarah, she dresses me. So
Makes
I
two of it.
got to give her credit.
It's like garanimals at my house. They lay them out, and I got to wear it. Also joining us, Javante Moffitt, 2017 Honorable Mention All-Conference USA, and the quarterback who holds most of Middle Tennessee's passing records, and the son of the head coach, Brent Stockstill. Brent, we'll be talking to you in just a minute. First of all, I want to talk about last season. How important, though, was it to win that bowl game? You beat Arkansas State in the Camellia Bowl 35-30.
Yeah, Ron, it was a great way to finish the year. And, we've been going to some bowls, like you said, and, we hadn't been able to win one since the New Orleans Bowl. So it was a great win for us, and especially what that team went through last year, all the injuries that we suffered and just the schedule, the season, that it was a great reward for our players. It was a great reminder of never giving up, continue to believe in yourself, continue to believe in each other, and they were able to win the bowl game. So it was a great feeling for us.
Let's talk about your offense, because you could possibly have one of the most potent offenses in Conference USA this year. Feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I like our team right now. Obviously Brent's back, and we've got our offensive line, I think, will be a strength of our team. Right now, all our running backs are healthy, so I feel really good about that. And, we lost Richie James at wide receiver, who's going to be a huge loss. But I like our receivers. I think we've got more depth at the wide receiver position than we've had in the last couple of years. So I'm really excited about our offensive team.
We talked a little bit earlier, but you have to be more balanced in your run game this year.
Yeah, and that we weren't last year, and part of it was we had so many injuries in the backfield. The mid-year part, we had to move a linebacker to running back because we were out of running backs, and then we had some injuries and new guys up front last year. But the last half of the year, the last 4 or 5 games, we really started running the ball better. So I think if we can do that, continue to pick up where we left off last year in the running game, it'll make us a lot more balanced and not so one-dimensional.
I think one of the things that you have in the back of your mind and the coaching staff, obviously keeping Brent healthy this year. He's been dinged up a couple of times, but it's a fine line between getting somebody who doesn't have any experience ready and still allowing Brent to do what he does.
Yeah, he's had 2 unfortunate injuries. Nobody takes care of their body, works harder than him, and from what he eats to what he puts in his body to how he trains and everything. And the first one was, it happens to all quarterbacks. You may throw a ball and you get wrapped up, and both of your arms are you can't protect yourself from when you fall. And then the one last year against Syracuse was a late hit, a cheap shot there that was unfortunate. So 2 freakish injuries. So, but he's going to continue to play the way he plays, and we want him. I want him to play that way.
But they did beat Syracuse, by the way, in the second game of the season, so that was a positive. It sounds almost ridiculous to say that the guy who's preseason All-Conference USA, a quarterback, you need to maximize his talent. Do you need to maximize it even more this year? I'm not sure if that's a fair question, but just use him.
I don't think so. We're not going to put more on his plate just because now, he's a senior and we know what he can do. And I think any quarterback, and especially, us, the more we can spread the ball around, more we can get the ball to, our playmakers at receiver, the more we can, utilize our running game, the better he's going to be. I really feel good about our offensive line. I like our line where we're at right now. And again, I already said it, Ron, but I like our team, our offensive team, where we're at. And I don't think Brent has to do anything special or more than just, run the offense. And I know it's cliche, but take what the defense gives him. And he understands he can get us in and out of good plays or bad plays. So we got a lot of confidence in him.
Well, we're sitting here talking about him, so I might as well talk to him now. Brent, good to have you here. Holds just about every passing record in school history. Last season had to be a little frustrating for you after getting injured in that game. How tough was it for you to sit and watch?
It was very tough. It's just kind of a weird injury that we didn't really know how long it was going to take to heal. So it was just kind of a week-to-week thing, and obviously the longer you're out, the more frustrating it is. So I just tried to embrace it the best way I could, just be a leader that I am, and kind of handle it the best way possible. But I'm happy to be back healthy and have this off season with my teammates.
Now, your dad graduates over 96% of his students. You're one of those. You did it in, what, 3 years or 2 years?
It was like 3.5, yes, sir.
3.5 years. How much of that discipline in the classroom transfers over to the football field for you?
Everything. We say it all the time is, you can't be successful on the field until you're successful off it, and that's what he preaches, and that's what all of us buy into. I think that shows with the graduation rate and all the success that his former players are having out in the community. So it's something that we take great pride in, and he does a great job instilling in us.
Well, your dad mentioned you've got some players coming back on the offensive line, 3 starters returning. Have you promised them anything to keep you healthy?
No, sir. No, sir, I haven't. No, there's no extra pressure on them. They do a great job. They've done a great job for the whole time I've been back there. So we have a good group, a lot of good leaders on that offensive line, all tough guys that love football. So I wouldn't change a thing about those guys up front.
Your relationship with your center, because he was honorable mention All-Conference USA in 2017. Talk about the relationship you and Robert have.
He's a great player, and we really have 2 centers right now. Rob did a great job all year. He's a great guy, hard worker. He went down. Josh Fanning got thrown in the mix right there at Charlotte. He picked up right where we left off. So we have 2 guys that we're confident in. They do a great job. They love the game. They're leaders, and they really run our offense for us.
Let's talk about defense a little bit, Coach, because your defense had major improvements last year under Scott Schaefer, defensive coordinator. What was the one improvement that you were most proud of last season?
I would say the biggest, how we played together as a defensive unit, as a team. Statistically, we were tremendous, a tremendous improvement, from the year before. We didn't give up as many big plays. We had more tackles for loss. Our guys, Javonte, these guys just did a fantastic job, and Scott did a great job. And I think now year 2 we can even be better this year than we were last year, because now they have a good understanding of the defense. We can give them more, put more on their plate for them. But I just think the way we played together, the accountability that we showed together as a defensive unit is the first thing that stands out to me.
Devontae Moffett, I want to talk to you because I always look for improvement from year to year for players when I break down numbers. You had 76 tackles in 2016. You went to 101 last year. Did the light bulb come on, or what was the big difference between 76 and 101?
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to Coach Schaefer. When he came in, his big emphasis is working hard and effort. He preaches effort all the time. I mean, running to the ball, just having all 11 guys, making sure they get into the ball, and that's all he preaches. So I felt like it really translated to the games, and just sticking my nose in everything.
Now, you had off-season surgery, weren't able to participate in spring. Give us an update on your health. What was it, and how are you doing right now?
I think I'm getting a lot better. I'm just working with our trainer, Keith. We're slow and steady, but I think I'm getting there, and I'm just taking my time.
Is it hard being slow and steady?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Just sending the guys to work every day in the summer. Some things I can't do that I wish I can, but I know I'll be back to normal eventually.
Well, you led Conference USA in tackles for a loss as a team in 2017. What goals do they set this year? Do you have tackles for a loss on the board, or are there a bunch of goals for the defense?
I would say my main goal is to get more turnovers for offense and Brent. I feel like we did pretty good on 3 and outs, but as far as getting turnovers and getting them better field position, we can do that and just get the ball to the offense.
When you look at the East, Coach, it's going to be so competitive. Obviously, you, FAU, FIU, Marshall, all those schools are going to be just battling the entire season. That is a heck of a challenge, but it's one that you guys like to have, and I think it's good for the conference.
Yeah, this conference, both sides, East and West, is very balanced. There's really good coaches, there's really good players in this conference, and there's no layups. And you got to put your hard hat on, come to work every day, and every week. And if you don't, you're going to get exposed. So, but we're excited about this year, Ron. I'm excited about our team. And I know we're hungry. We got a chip on our shoulder. Winning that bowl game last year has gave us a little extra juice, a little extra momentum, And we're an older team this year. They're hungry and excited to get this thing going, and I'm fired up about getting started in 2 weeks.
Now, I know coaches coach, administrators do the administration stuff, but you have only 5 home games this season. You have to play at Vanderbilt, at Georgia, at Kentucky. I mean, that is a brutal schedule.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. We know that, but that's what it is, and you can't wave a white flag and surrender or change it now. It's what it is, and we got to go out and we know to reach our goals of winning a championship and going to bowl and winning a bowl game, it's going to be harder because of that. But it's one that we're going to roll up our sleeves and get after it and go to work. And, we're not going to back down from anybody. And we're going to get fired up to play Vanderbilt. And when that one's over, we'll get ready for the next one.
I want to ask both players this. How much did beating Syracuse last year set you up for this year when you go play the so-called Power 5 teams? Brent, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's very important. The year before we knocked off Missouri
Right.
and bounced back this past year beating Syracuse. So we know it's always tough going against the Power 5, going into their place. But we get fired up. We embrace the challenge. We got a chip on our shoulder. It's going to be no different this year. It's always tough. 3 SEC East teams, but we'll be ready for it. We know we got to play our best and give them a run for our money. We'll be ready to go.
Javante, pump you up a little bit to play those guys?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. To piggyback off what Brent said, it's a great challenge. We embrace it. And like beating a team like Syracuse, it just helped us later on the season with momentum.
Yeah, but there's something about beating an SEC team too.
Yeah.
Is there not? I mean, that's the hierarchy. Always say, oh, that's the greatest conference.
Yeah.
But Conference USA's got teams that can beat those guys, and you'll go in confident in all those games, correct?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I think that's the thing, just conferences like us trying to close the gap between those Power 5. And you see it year in and year out, teams like us are competing with and knocking off some of those teams each year. So it's fun to see not only us but the teams in our conference do the same thing.
We talk about everything that this team has done and what you has done as a coach, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that graduation rate because I think it's something you and I have talked for a number of years. But to have young men represent the school like your son and Javante, I think is outstanding. I mean, every answer that when I was talking to Brett before, and every Javante, yes or no, sir.
Yeah, they're both great
good.
young men.
Pretty impressive, Coach.
I appreciate it.
Your wife did a good job.
She did.
Okay, that was for her, all right?
Good job,
She dresses
Sarah.
you well, and
Thanks, Mom.
she treats you well.